So my initial reason to switch into EVs was ideological. It was an ideological reason.
What is this?
This is a Rivian. It's an electric truck.
For real?
0 to 60 in 3 seconds.
Let's go.
Oh, yeah, baby. Can't get enough of it. And this is the number one reason why I would not go back to gas, because it just doesn't make sense after you hear this last reason. And that is hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're having a great day today. Well, today's video, I'm going to talk about the reason I decided to go electric and why I would never go back to gas. And after hearing this, maybe you may want to consider the switch also. So I'm going to tell you my story as to why I decided to get my first electric vehicle. And then I'm going to go over 6 reasons why I would never go back to gas and why it's so much convenient. And you want to stick around for the 6th reason because I think it might surprise you because this is a pretty big game changer. So let's go ahead and get into this. Okay, first of all, I want to start with the story of why I got my first electric vehicle. And it's kind of a long story over a span of time, so I'm going to try to speed this up just for the sake of time. But I got my first electric vehicle in 2011. I had just retired from the military that same year. And, I've been eyeballing this Chevy Volt for a while, and I finally got it. And I'm going to explain why I got my first Chevy Volt. So I first joined the military in 1990. And if you all remember, some of the older people out there, that was during the buildup for the Gulf War. I was in college at the time on a scholarship, and I saw what was going on, and I said, it's time for me to go serve my country. And I left college, and I signed up for the Army, said with the recruiter, I said, I want to join the U.S. Army Infantry. I want the first thing smoking. And then I went home and had to have a conversation with my dad. So I never told anyone what the decision I made. But after I made the decision and I enlisted, I came home and told my dad. And of course, it was a shock to him because I was in college on a scholarship, obviously. And I was like, look, and I explained the reasons why I decided to enlist. And, he served also, so he understood. And that's where it all started. And of course, the Gulf War. Iraq invaded Kuwait, and of course, those two countries have a very big oil supply, and their influence on the world, the global economy, is pretty huge. So if the oil supply is cut down, it can have a pretty negative impact on the world economy and send economies right into recessions. So although oil wasn't the only reason we were there, it was a big contributing factor for that first war. Now, fast forward to September 11, 2000, you know what happened then. And of course, shortly thereafter, U.S. troops are engaged in the Gulf again. If they didn't have the oil supply, we probably wouldn't have been there. And of course, at the time, I was a military recruiter. And, I enlisted a lot of young men and women into the armed forces. And you have their parents, putting their trust in me. And I have a fiduciary responsibility to them and to the community. And now let's fast forward to 2007. And then President George Bush has stated in the Union address, he stated that the U.S. was addicted to oil, and that it would have a negative impact on our energy security. And that's where the EV credit actually came from, was during the Bush administration. And the original reason was for national security, energy security. That was the original reason for this. And me being a service member, I took on that call. So my initial reason to switch into EVs was ideological. It was an ideological reason. I was a service member, and you see all these service members sacrificing their lives and limbs for the country. And I was like, instead of saying thank you to a service member, let's say I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to actually take some actual action. And that's why I bought my first electric vehicle. I said, I'm going to cut my dependency on oil, even if it's just a drop. Of course, just me by myself, it may not make a difference. But if others are like me and, more people catch on, that's one less service member where we have to make a trip to their house and tell this family that they're not going to see them again. So if I cut my dependency on oil and I cut my oil usage down, maybe that's one less war where a mother and father won't get a call to say, hey, your son or daughter, they died in the service of their country. If I can prevent that call from happening, that's what I'm going to do. And that is a reason I bought my first EV, is that I was thinking about American service member lives, because a lot of them put their lives in my hand, during the course of my years in the military. So, and this is just my thank you to them. It's like, I'm going to thank you by trying to prevent you from going to war in the first place. So that is why. But now that you understand my story, and let me know what you think in the comment section about that. This is something you expected? Is why, when I said my ideological reasons as to why I decided to switch over, is this something that surprised you? Let me know in the comment section. And also, if you haven't already, just take a moment and go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, and I really appreciate it. And this really helps the YouTube algorithm to get this message out to other people who really need to hear it. And I really appreciate your support and all your engagement in the comment section. So let's go ahead and continue on. And so now I'm going to discuss the 6 reasons why I won't go back to gas, so you understand why I went electric in the first place. Now I'm going to tell you, after I got my electric vehicle, I was like, oh, okay, I like this. This is pretty cool. But everything is not great with electric vehicles, but that'll be on another video. So my first reason is why I won't go back to gas is no more trips to the gas station. That's right. That is so beautiful, not having to go to the gas station. I do not miss it. And I remember that was one of the things that pushed me over the edge to get the EV. In fact, I was thinking about this particular gentleman when I bought my EV, when I was sitting with the salesperson, doing all the paperwork for the electric vehicle. It was a gas station in downtown St. Louis, not far from the stadium where the Cardinals play, Busch Stadium. And they had some of the cheapest gas prices around. And this guy called himself the Black White Barbie. And some of you may have heard of him. And if you have, go ahead and let me know in the comment section if you know who I'm talking about. But he would just harass you while you're pumping gas, just harass, ask for money. And if you didn't have any money, he'll just sit there and just talk to you. And it was not a fun experience, just entertaining this gentleman. And I remember after I got my Chevy Volt, some months later, I went back to thank that gentleman because, man, this is a nice ride. This is nice. And I was like, hey, look, he came up to harass me. And I was like, look, I just want to thank you because if it weren't for you, I don't think I have this vehicle. You pushed me over the edge to get this vehicle right here. So I really appreciate you harassing me at the gas station. But yeah, I do not miss it. Going to the gas station when it's freezing outside, spilling gas, having the smell of gas on your hand. Gas stations can be pretty dangerous. It's like I said, you got people harassing you for money. A lot of carjackings happen there. I go to the gas station, I'm always like this looking around. I still have to go because I have to get gas for my lawnmower, and I don't like doing that. But every time I go, I'm always, looking around. You got to, do the symbol for danger area. Yeah, pretty. Yeah, I do not miss that. And so not having to go to the gas station is my first reason for not going back to gas. Okay, next reason is cheaper fuel. And if some of you remember, some of you older people out there, in 2008, gas prices went through the roof. And I live here in the Midwest, and we had some of the cheapest gas prices in the country. And here, gas was $4 a gallon in 2008. $4. You adjust that for inflation today, that's equivalent to about $6 a gallon. And the nationwide average was even higher than that. It got to the point where I started driving the Metrolink to work because it was just too expensive to drive. If I was sitting in the drive-thru, I'd turn my ignition off. I was like, I'm not trying to waste any gas. This stuff is just too expensive. I had to change my whole lifestyle. And that was not nice. So just to give you an idea how much less it costs to fuel my EV, my first Chevy Volt, my commute was 42 miles back and forth to work. And it cost me about $18 a month to fuel that vehicle, $18 a month. You could not beat that savings. And now we have 2 Rivians. We have a Rivian R1T and R1S. And it costs us about $160 to fuel those vehicles to do all our driving throughout the entire month. And that is about the same amount it costs just to fuel our one Mazda CX-9. That is savings right there. And it may be even cheaper, depending on what your electrical rates are. And that's reason number 2. Cheaper than fuel. You can't beat it. That's why I won't go back. Why would I go back to something higher? I won't. The next thing that surprised me when I got my first EV is how much fun they are to drive. And this is why I went back to thank that gentleman because I didn't know. I didn't know what that instant torque meant. I heard people talk about it, but you hit the accelerator, you have all of your torque at once. And I talked about the storage space. But I have this Ocean Coast interior. It is beautiful in this vehicle, especially with the panoramic roof in this light interior. mixed with a dark appointment, it is perfect. And in just the layout,
What the fuck is this?
this is a Rivian. It's an electric truck.
For real?
0 to 60 in 3 seconds.
Let's go.
Oh, yeah, baby. Can't get enough of it. I don't know if you caught that. The gentleman next to me wanted to know what this was. Of course, he used some expletives. But yeah, I just showed him. Yeah, I love this truck. Anyway, while I was talking about the interior, let's get back to this interior. It was exhilarating. And compared to today, that Chevy Volt is a slow vehicle. So, I mean, but exhilarating. Then you got these Rivians, these 835 horsepower. You got the Tesla Model Plaid over 1,000. You got the new Rivian R1T quad motor that's coming out. That's 1,025 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds. Can run a quarter in the tens. I mean, you cannot. There's no gas vehicles that do that. The performance is just superior. And that is why would I go back to an inferior performing vehicle? In order to get what I get for the Rivian, I'll have to get a Toyota Prius. I would have to get a Jeep. And I would have to get a truck, Ford F-150. And I would have to get a Lamborghini. Just to get what I can get out the one Rivian. So, yeah, so I'm not going back. Okay, let's go to the next one. The next one is low maintenance costs. Yes, low maintenance costs is another big benefit of electric vehicles. Yes, you do have maintenance, windshield washer fluid. You may have to change your wipers, rotate the tires. But some things you're not going to have to do is go get an oil change. You're not going to have to do that. You can scratch that off your to-do list. And also all the other fluids and all the other things that can go wrong with all the moving parts in an internal combustion engine vehicle. And I know because I owned cars for a long time. I had my first vehicle was a Chevy Citation. My father, we'd be out there all on the weekends for about a month, trying to, dropping the engine, put new transmission in and put some piecing this vehicle all together, going to the junkyard, getting new parts because stuff will break down. I couldn't afford to get that thing fixed. Just, keeping that thing together as best I can. It taught me a lot to do that, but now I don't want to do it. I just don't. And even still, later on, I will still do my own oil changes. Even my wife, I went outside one day, she had her car jacked up, changing her oil. But that took a lot of time. I would rather spend that time doing something more productive. Not that it's not fun, but if that's something you enjoy to do, hey, I say stick with a gas vehicle because there's going to be plenty of opportunity to fix those vehicles. Also, a big thing that you probably won't change in an electric vehicle is the brake pads because you usually don't use the brakes. It has one pedal driving. And I really love it. Just not having to go to the Jiffy Lube where you say you think you're going to get a $20 oil change and all of a sudden they come back and say, oh, it's $500 worth of stuff. We got this upgraded package. We're going to flush your injectors. We're going to do this. We're going to drain the fluid out and change out your coolant. You don't have to worry about that. And also, if you're concerned about going to a mechanic and them overcharging you, you just don't, there's something wrong with your vehicle and you think it may, this may be a couple $100 and say, oh, no, this is going to be a few $1,000s to fix this. With the electric vehicle, it cuts a lot of it out because there's no engine, there's no transmission. You don't have all these moving parts and it just lowers the likelihood of something going wrong and you have to go into a mechanic and get that fixed. And a lot of these things with these EVs can be done over the air, right from your home, just like your computer. They can fix a lot of these issues, right, or diagnose your vehicle over the air. But yes, it's pretty great. The next thing is the convenience of charging at home. That's right. It is awesome. Not having to go to the gas station, the amount of time you can save, just like, charge your cell phone at night. It saves a lot of time. You can wake up to a full tank every day. And it is awesome not to have to worry about, like, oh, man, I got to stop. I'm running late. I got to stop by the gas station. I'm not going to make it to work. With an EV, your car is filling itself up at night while you're sleeping. And you cannot beat it, let me tell you. Or if you have the option to charge it at work. If you can charge at work, that is awesome also. That while you're working, your car is fueling itself. Or just say you need to go shopping and the local Walmart has charging stations. You could plug your car in and charge while you're shopping. Come back out, you're good to go for the next week until you have to go back and shop again. awesome. You can really, really maximize your time and really make it a more efficient and more effective use of it. Okay, now we're going to get to the reason number 6, and this is a big one. A lot of people don't consider, and this is the number one reason why I would not go back to gas, because it just doesn't make sense after you hear this last reason. And that is energy independence. That's right, I said it. Energy independence. And what do you say? What does he mean by that? What does he mean by energy independence? Well, remember, we go back and I say the original reason I went with an EV because they say it's for national security reasons, for energy security. And so we won't have to be relying on all these foreign nations that have these large supply of oil, because America, even though we're the number one producer of oil, it still only represents 20%. The other 80% is owned by other nations. So oil is a global commodity and the world sets the price. So I don't care. We can pump and all this other stuff. And I'll do another video specifically on oil. But energy independence is the number one reason for me, because with an electric vehicle and solar panels and battery backup, I can produce my own energy. Right here in the comfort of my home, I can produce my own electricity to fuel my house and to fuel my vehicle. I mean, where I live now, we're on a septic system. We're on a well. We're on propane. And I'm slowly trying to back off the propane because I don't have control over the supply of propane or the cost. At one point, I was paying over $200 a month for propane. I just want to get away from that. It's just too unpredictable. There's just too many variables and factors that can immediately change these prices. And I just don't want to deal with it. I want to have more predictability. I want to have more control. And that's what I like owning an EV. It gives me the option to have more control. Because if I put solar on my house and have battery backups, that's enough energy to fuel my house. And not only that, the other thing is with bidirectional charging with an electric vehicle, you could use your electric vehicle to power your house. If you have a big old battery like what's in the Chevy Silverado EV, you can power your house for over a week during a power outage. And with the combination of the two, with the solar and the battery backups, you can severely reduce your electric bill, probably almost down to zero. So now you're not dependent on the electric company, and you're not going to the gas station. So you're not dependent on the oil companies either. You are self-reliant. You can be off grid for real, because if you have to rely on going to a gas station, you're not independent. You're not free. You're still subject to the whims of the world oil prices and also the global oil supply. And with an electric vehicle, you can free yourself from that. That's why I don't understand is like, why are people so against EVs? Because, and the people I would think that would really be for them or against them, because like, this is a way that you can really be free. This is a way that you can be free and have some true independence and control of your life. But that's me. That's why I did it. But I want to know your thoughts in the comment section. And also let me know if my reason number 6 surprised you. And let me know also if there's something that you considered, especially if you're not the person that really likes electric vehicles. Let me know if this kind of, open your mind up a little more and say, hey, maybe that's not such a bad idea. But let me know what you think in the comment section. And again, if you haven't already, please hit that like and subscribe button. But that's all I have for today. I'd like to thank you for joining me once again. And I can't wait to see you on the next video.